Like Cambodia and Pol Pot's ruthless destruction of his own people, there is a terrible crisis taking place in Myanmar, and the world needs to know. Here's a short background on a growing genocide.
It's recorded in history that the Buddha once said, "All tremble at violence, all fear death. Putting oneself in the place of another, one should not kill nor cause another to kill." Yet today, Burmese military units that used violence and persecution to chase over 700,000 Muslims from current-day Myanmar into Bangladesh refugee camps now have a new target: Christians. The state of Kachin has seen more than 60 churches bombed or burned out since 2017. If you are not Buddhist in Myanmar, you are marked for removal or destruction. The question remains, what will the rest of the world and fellow believers do in this time that threatens the genocide of Christians in the nation of Burma?
Joining us to help unmask this growing tragedy in Myanmar is the pastor of Northwood Church in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and a member of the Faith Coalition to Stop Genocide in Burma. Please welcome Dr. Bob Roberts, Jr. Dr. Roberts, good to have you with me.
Thank you very much.
Now, you and I are all dressed up tonight. We look like we could be in church. But you're spending a lot of your time halfway around the world with people who are anything but dressed up.
Yeah,
What's happening over there?
It's bad. What we've seen happen with the Rohingya Muslims, where there's been close to 1 million now in the refugee camps that I've been to, I've seen firsthand, I've heard the stories. It's now starting in the Kachin state. I was able to get there. It's not easy to get there for many reasons, but I was able to get in and visit. And the first thing they asked me was, "Bob, where are the American Christians? Why aren't they speaking out for us?" I didn't know this, Governor, but these are the spiritual descendants of Adoniram Judson, who went there in the 1830s. And they're Christians, 95% of the state, and believe it or not, they're Baptist.
What are the horrors that are happening? Because we don't hear anything about this. Nothing. I mean, I hear some from Franklin Graham's organization, Samaritan's Purse, with the Rohingyas. But for the most part, I'm not hearing anything.
You're not hearing it because it's inaccessible. It's near impossible to get there. They're bordered by China on one side, Burma on the other, and India to the north. They're isolated, and there's 1.5 million that are there. So it's hard to get to. The Burmese government handles the communication, so it's tough to get there. When I got in, though, what I saw broke my heart. Over 150,000 that we can count, refugees, IDPs. In every Baptist church, I don't care if it's 50 or 200 people, has between 400 and 2,000 refugees living right there on the property. The concerning thing about this, if you looked at a map like you had on your program coming in, they started at the edges of India and China, and they've now destroyed 450 villages, towns, and they're pushing the people towards the center of the state where the capital is. Well, they're all in the Baptist churches, so they're easy prey.
But this is a genocide, and the American media has been absolutely absent. And maybe it's because they can't get there. Maybe there are other reasons. But there's a slaughter going on.
It is. I met people who were raped. I met people who lost loved ones. I met pastors who didn't have churches anymore. They've bombed or burned 60 churches. There have been, in the last year, 500 military clashes, 450 helicopter gunships, jets. When I was there, you could hear them flying over. This is going on right now, and now's the time to stop it.
In a simple word, why are they the targets? What's the end game here for the...
Two things: ethnic cleansing and religious freedom. Ethnic cleansing because they're not part of the Burma, just like the Rohingya. And the second thing is religion. You have to understand all of life is built around the center of that town, which in every town is a church. And so that's why. And so they're trying to destroy the ethnicity. They do that through destroying the religion. It's connected, hand in hand. One of the sad things we found out was the 33rd and 99 battalions that were in the Kachin state have now been relocated to this state. So you have soldiers that have literally been trained in genocide, rape, murder, torture, throwing babies alive in the fire. I mean, I talked to people who saw their children physically dismembered in front of them. And so they need help, and we can help them. President Obama, when Aung San Suu Kyi came into power, he thought that things had changed. And so against the advice, frankly, of many people, he lifted all the sanctions. And that was like free-for-all for them. The good news is the Congress has passed a bill. So has the Senate. a bipartisan, without prejudice bill, but Mitch McConnell will not bring it to the floor, and he's friends with Aung San Suu Kyi. And so the idea is that hopefully she's going to do something, and he wants to keep her in power. But the problem with that is you have thousands of people now that are being slaughtered, and we can't ignore it.
Well, it sounds like that one of the things we need to do is to put pressure on the majority leader, Mitch McConnell. What other things? I mean, our audience is aghast at what's happening, both here in the studio and at home. What can they do? Okay,
number one, call your congressman and senator. I'm grateful for Vice President Pence. He's as good as we've ever had in dealing with Christians that are persecuted. Nikki Haley is speaking out. So make sure the congressmen and the senators know. That's number one. Number two, you can give money to the Kachin Baptist Convention. They just outlawed the Burmese government, their ability to help the Kachin people. These are the only people that can get in there. So it's one of those places, it's not where churches can show up. Even Franklin Graham would have a tough time getting in there. And so I think financially, just to help them out, you can do that through a multiplicity of ways. It's easy to get to.
Well, Bob, thank you for sharing with us. It's not a pleasant topic. It's not fun. But we need to know about this, and it's a horror story being played out in real life. And if you want to learn more or volunteer your time, your prayers, of course, your finances to help the Kachin Christians, go to glocal.net to learn how. That's glocal.net. It's on your screen.